until Thursday, this trip, but she'll be back at Christmas. And it's down in Hampton, so it's not a terrible drive. So, any questions on anything? Are you properly confused?
But if anybody's looking for a good band, from the Austin J, this is the 4 to 3/4 with the 14-inch real capacity and a good real. So, it's about
Have a picture of it.
yeah.
I think we read over picture here at the base of.
I could
Who's that?
I did not take a picture. It's like a bunch. Oh,
Jerry.
so like I said, anybody should talk to everybody, see Jerry, me, Bob, Dave, Denise, we've got pictures if you can see some more, so, holler at us. Okay, so now it's time to do, we had our board meeting for November, which is the second 6-month period of the year for the way I see it. And we've made some decisions, and we'll announce everything next month before we have our Christmas party. Any guests tonight? Oh, okay, good. Hi, I'm glad you're here. I missed you completely. Can I ask who you are? And Larry Huff. All right. Oh, really cool. So you can take these back if they don't sell. I'm glad you're with us. What has brought your interest to wood turning? Are you a turner?
Well, decades ago, I heard a lady and saw a real, my father we had, and I never touched it. Well, that was 86. So, just the last 2 years, I've had health problems, haven't been able to do the outdoor things that
Right.
I used to do, so drove me inside.
Okay.
So I resurrected the old lady.
Only by force.
Those who were, and I got into it. I really liked it. Yeah.
Okay. That's mine, so that's an excellent.
It's 10, 11, some hours.
Okay. Okay.
Used it yesterday.
Excellent. Well, there's not much good in having them if you're not going to use them. But I'm glad you're with us. Thank you for coming. Well, okay, and we have our newest member, which is Isaac Draper, and he's back with us. So, yay! Thank you, Isaac. Everybody who has come, thank you for being here tonight. We have a wonderful demonstration tonight, so brace yourself for that. Okay, the ornaments for our quarterly donation need to be in my possession by the 15th of this month. So if I need to come to you or you need to come to me so I can get them, we have Jeremiah School and Isaiah House that we're going to divide them between. And also the gentleman that we pay the rent to for this building has asked for 10 that we're donating to him because he's using them as a door prize for the senior citizen group that he's a part of and he helps with. So that's a third one. What? 10 ornaments. Yes, sir. So we've got what we have and what I get from everybody by the 15th, and we will divide them. He'll have his 10, and then we'll divide what's left between the two places for the kids, which is what it's about anyway. Also, we got our letter from Barter Theater for doing the donation for it had to resemble a traffic cone, if you can get that in your head. And they are a turned sample cone for the exterior of Gillum Stage Outdoor proposal update. So they're going to use this to save about $7,000 a year because they're going to use it to cast the part that they had been purchasing. So they're going to make their own. And we gave them the cast for that. And we got our letter, and it's Tri-City Woodturners. So good deal. I guess we are going to do our instant gallery. So who would like to begin, Larry? You almost disappeared.
Poured it out. I know there's a lot of it's. I know that a lot of it's thick. Thank you. But it was about half rotten. It's like one piece. I think it, like only a couple threads actually held it together, and that's why I had to put so much on it. But I ain't finished with them yet because I still got some medallions to put in it, and it all came out the same piece. And I used resin as a finish on it, and plus the finish by having resin on it helps hold it together. That way it don't fly apart unless you lose it off the lathe. And then there's a time or two I thought, yeah, it's coming off the lathe, but I managed to do it without knocking myself out, so I'm happy.
So it's running slow, didn't you?
Yes. Yes, sir.
What kind of finish did you put on
That's resin,
it? I'm sorry,
fiberglass resin.
okay, how did you apply that?
With paint.
I'm sorry,
With paint. I turned it real slow. I made the machine where I could turn it real slow, and I like to use a lathe, run up a lathe motor, just like 8 to 10 RPMs per minute, and push it on, and I'll leave it running. Finish off smoother, now all ready to be made inside.
Right.
Turn it slow.
how long did you have to turn it?
Finish. Well, if I get it ready, it don't take long. Mix it ready, take back the brush, turn it on, and just mix it real sweet. But the one thing about it, you got to make sure the wood's real fine. Now they will even look milky.
Right. Right.
And I've had pieces go 2 or 3 years and it's falling. And mold. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Who you gonna volunteer now?
All right, so we are up to our ornaments. Who would like to come up here and wow us with your skills, please? Because there's new ones from last time.
I just brought a couple here. I hate to not bring anything, but these are all turned out of one piece and they're hollow and it's fairly easy to do. Just kind of fun.
Thank you, Walt.
Well, I don't know. There's not much to explain. Little Angel, I like doing those. They're quick and easy. I like doing the halo. I done the halo a solid piece and glued it on top there, and I didn't like it as well. But my wife liked it, so she kept it. And then she likes to paint, so I do these little snowmen icicles. And then she paints them up. And then the Osage orange. I love to turn that stuff. You ever worked with any of it? Man, that's like sands up so nice and slick. And that's about it. And those ornaments are for you. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
The metal.
The hanger.
The hangers, I got those at Hobby Lobby. Yeah. And right now, if you go get them, they're half off.
Next.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the first thing I've brought. Nothing super fancy, but I had like a, I don't know, it was like a pretty crappy log. On the outside, it looked terrible, but on the inside, it's got some pretty good figure and looks pretty cool. So, yeah, this is the first one.
Thank you, Isaac. Okay, who's next? Oh, Sam.
I made this little snowman. Had a piece of elm just sitting in my scrap pile, so made out of that, and had a piece of what is this one? This one's walnut on the top. I didn't want to be a one-trick pony, so I made another one, and I used a piece of maple. I had it where it's a little bit tilted, so it kind of makes it look like, whatever. But yeah, but I liked it because it has little dots on it from the grain already on it, so I didn't really design anything, put anything on it, so I just left it as it is.
Very good. All right, who's next? Don't be bashful at this point, because we got,
I wish I could get his.
well, you're slacking. But these are wonderful, and they're going to, the Jeremiah School is for autistic children. So they take these, and it's like a therapy thing in their hands because of the shapes. So this is, I'm over the moon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so we have bowls. Tom. Richard says.
Okay. Got two cedar bowls, cedar wood. Gift from Helena. One tree. I've never seen a cedar tree this big. Huge. The thing must have been dead for a long time. The outside is just really bad looking wood. When the tree was washed up on the shore, I tried to push it back into the lake from whence it came. It wouldn't move. It was grounded. So I figured, well, when they lower the lake, I'll get out there with a chainsaw and I'll have possibly some firewood. Well, the lake was lowered. My neighbor beat me to the tree with his chainsaw. He came to the house. He says, Tom, you need to look at that log. It is gorgeous inside. And he was right. Once I got through that outer decayed layer, I mean, it just, absolutely gorgeous. This is one bowl. Anybody wants it, you're going to have to wrestle Cindy for it. Another bowl.
You're finished.
You want to guess what finishes on this? It really changed the hue, the coloring and everything of that cedar. Shellac.
Oh,
3 layers of shellac.
I was going to say how many coats, yeah.
So I kind of think it's very nice. And this one, you got the branches coming off of it. That's it.
All right, is this John? Is this John? Is this John? Well, you've always been a little crooked. Don't worry about it.
Richard Dwyer did a demo a little while ago on feet on a bowl. And it's rather unique, and I tried to do it and I did it, but it's not his way. He used a curved method of designing the legs. Yeah, I guessed at it. I got 3 legs. So that's about as close as I got to the curved legs. His radius idea was a little bit more graphic than what I got. But anyways, piece of magnolia. Did a little bit of plastic and little accents, and it was mainly for the feet. Yeah, and that's D feet. I did some other bowls. My normal way of putting feet, just divide up to 3, the radius, and just took out everything that wasn't a foot. This little guy is another piece of magnolia, and it's got epoxy, kind of tricky, a single band on the outside and 2 on the inside. A little different, in case you're wondering. It's not a lot of rocket surgery there. And another 3-legged oak bowl. This one with green epoxy, but it has an eye on the inside. So I think it's kind of cool. That and my 3 legs. And oak. Anybody get any white oak? Who said yep? You got white oak? Don't move. I know. Thank you. Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. This, yes.
So how did you get the separated line?
Yeah. Okay. Roughed out the bowl, shaped it, cut the groove all the way around, and then I cut a deeper path on the left and on the right side of the groove. Filled it all with epoxy. Then I hollowed it out. And I exposed those deeper grooves on the inside.
Oh, you're so smart. Yay! Take a bow. Take a bow. Gosh. Yeah. Okay, so this is what we have for Instant Gallery. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. This is great. All right, now, tonight we have a different type of demonstration, but Doug Lohman is going to show us caning and weaving. So, the floor is yours, sir. Welcome, Doug. It works.
Okay, I'm wired. Good evening. I wanted to digress for a moment and just say that Deborah and I make weaving tools, boat shuttles. This is a thin line shuttle. We make 4-inch and 6-inch shuttles and doubles for our woodworking activities. And this, actually, I do turn wood. We make cone holders for weavers. Put their cone of yarn on here, and it comes off more easily. So I'll pass these around. And we have the slideshow. Okay. What I'm going to talk about initially is weaving cane into chairs, and the traditional pattern you see here, you'll see on almost every chair you see in an antique mall somewhere. And some you'll see done correctly, and some you'll see are garbage, but that's all the same pattern. It's this pattern, and I'm going to go through the steps to get to this pattern shortly, and I'll leave one of the steps for you up here. The cane I use comes from the rattan palm out of Southeast Asia. Historically, it's all come out of that region, some out of India. It's harvested in a sustainable fashion. This is a piece of the cane of the rattan palm, and we use just the outside surface, nothing else. And you'll notice these places on here, you'll notice these places where the leaves are torn off, they become rough in a caning job, and you try to make sure you're pulling the cane through, so you go over that instead of pulling this way, you have to run into it. But this is a piece of the rattan palm. The skin is used for this. The inside is used for a wicker and some flat reed. Everything is used on the tree. There's no waste. To start with on a chair, they usually come with a lot of old cane in them, so we tear all the old cane out. Then we go through and glue everything up, refinish it if you need to. And here you'll notice, well, in a minute.
So you're basically repainting existing chairs?
Oh yeah, I buy these, I don't make any of these chairs. I buy them, antique malls, flea markets, yard sales. Some people, in some cases, I'll do a little touch-up finishing, yeah. And I make sure I stain them and get rid of the scratches and that sort of thing. Lately, chairs have been showing up without me going anywhere. Yeah. No, no, no. I'll get there. Yeah. We'll get there. Once you clean the chair up and got it all ready to go, this edge right here, right along in here, where the cane runs against, if you don't go through and round that off, it will break the cane eventually, and you have to start all over again. That's where a lot of the breaks are in cane, in chairs, other than some kid your grandchild putting their knee in the chair, trying to stand up, or standing up and falling through with his feet. Nor the size of the cane, to get the right size, you have to figure out the distance between the holes. What happened? The distance between the holes and the diameter of the hole, and use this table to figure out what size cane to use, or you can count the number of holes in a 6-inch stretch, and that will tell you what size cane to use. And I usually take that number and back up one size, because it's very hard sometimes to get these holes full of cane. Tools are shown here, generally a range of tools plus case knives that are cut down to a particular size. And this dandy little tool that has a groove in it that I'll use in a few minutes when I do one of the steps for you. Cane comes in many different sizes, and I'll pass this around. Typically I use 2¼ millimeter, which is fine cane, up to 5 millimeter cane. And I have done a project with 6 millimeter cane. And I have all those sizes between those two limits. Cane comes in a bundle like this. This is 1,000 feet, as I remember. This is 5 millimeter cane, or small, this is a bigger size cane. This is 6 millimeter, but they both come in about 1,000 foot roll. about a half of that or a third of that. It also comes colored, this is in black. It gets dyed. It comes dyed. It is dyed black. And also the Chinese, as ingenious as they are, have figured out how to take that clear cover, that shiny cover off the cane. It is a silicaceous material. They figured out how to take it off. And now you have a cane that you can guide yourself any way you want to. Cane comes in pre-made sheets that I have here, 1/2-inch holes, for example, 5/8 holes, 3/4 holes, 1 inch, and you can get even smaller 3/8 inch. Say again? This weave will have 7 strands in it when you're finished, and that's a reasonable number of strands. Some of the stuff I'll show you here you can't use, it's too soft for sitting, and some of the stuff has more than 7 strands in it. It would be great. Cane also comes in sheets, like these, pre-woven sheets. An open weave or a closed weave, or already in the 7-step pattern, pre-woven, machine woven.
What's the size?
Pardon me? A sheet about this wide and a roll about like that. Yeah. And here's another sheet that has the same information on it. Okay, okay. This is the end result of the 7-step method we're going to talk about for a few minutes and walk through the steps. I'm not going to try to do the steps because it takes me about 24 hours to weave one of these. I'm going to do one step about in the middle in a few minutes. But the end result is this pattern. And the important thing, if you see these chairs in an antique mall or in a yard sale or something, or even if you want to buy them somewhere else, if you look in the corners, you see 2 pieces of cane going into the, is that showing up over there? My cursor doesn't show up, okay. The upper left and right corners are 2 pieces of cane going into that corner. That's important because that gives you the right slant for all the rest of the cane to get those nice X's across the back, down the side, and across the front. Most places you see will have V's instead of X's, and that's just not right. Okay.
Rating as far as their strength, their load bearing capability.
No. Yeah.
When your standard size came to 1,000 feet, how much is it?
1,000 feet. Good question. I don't remember how much I paid for it. The last time, it was several years ago, I bought a big roll like that, and I don't have a clue. I don't remember what it was then. First step in caning is to put in cane in the vertical direction, called the first vertical. Followed by, the first 3 steps are really easy. The second step is to put in the horizontals. Lay the horizontals on top, so you have some nice square holes between the cane.
So, what kind of tension do you put?
Just put on comfortable tension, it will tighten up by itself when it dries. Just put on wet. And after it dries, it will be as hard as some of these out here. This one, for example, I keep wetting because I'm going to weave it in a few minutes, and you can see how much I move it. I think you can. And if you take some of these others, I can't reach it. They're pretty firm. This one's not as firm. Then you put in a second vertical right beside the first vertical and slightly to the right.
Now, your second step, it's not in a weed.
No, not yet. There's no weaving steps. Everything's laid on top of the other. The first three steps are just laid in. The first weave step comes up with the first diagonal, and in that case, it will look like this. You start in the corner, and you weave over the horizontal and under the vertical, the two verticals, all the way diagonal till you fill up the piece. Also notice in that picture, in the upper, let's see if I can do it here. Notice this along here, how these diagonals go from the hole to the vertical and not going down to the horizontal. That gives you the chance to have the X that you want in the final product. Step 5 is to put in the second horizontal, and I'm going to demonstrate that one for a moment before I pass this around. Again, keeping the cane wet and keeping the cane that's already woven wet, using this nice little groove tool. Yep, be sure you have the shiny side up. There's a dull side on the bottom and a shiny side. And I go under the two and up, and the tool allows me to not have to have hands on the top and bottom. Put the tool in, put the cane in, and it comes right back up. I did my first piece in about 1993. I picked up I had an interest in getting into it. My parents always had enjoyed wooden furniture, and Dad did woodworking and made some beautiful pieces. But they also would buy cane furniture for the dining room, and then they have it recaned by somebody. And we have those chairs now, plus all the cane chairs we have on our own. So about 1993, I had this harebone idea that I'd like to learn it. So I went at the Hillsville Flea Market, Hillsville, Virginia, in Labor Day. I picked up a rocker that was in pieces, basically. And so you can make mistakes there. It was basically in pieces, so I had to put it back together, refinish it, and then weave the feet and the back. And after I did that project, I just put it aside because I was still working. After I retired in 2009, I decided to pick it up again and started off weaving the 7-step method, and got to the point I got bored with it fairly quickly. And so I went off to the internet and started looking for other patterns that we'll talk about in a few minutes. If I didn't have this nice little tool in my right hand, I would have to have one hand under and the other hand on top and constantly be switching back and forth like this. It's easier, really, to use the tool. Either one works. And then go through the hole. Back up to the next hole.
You're not pulling it tight.
No, I'm just, it'll dry snug. And then do the whole thing again, back the other way. But that's the fifth step to put in the second horizontal row. Then the sixth step is to put in the second diagonal starting from the other side and doing exactly the same thing, except now you're going over the vertical and under the horizontal, just the opposite of what you did before. And finally, the last step is to put in the binder around the outside that covers up the holes. The Brits, the English, do not put the binder on, they leave it bare. And so then you have a completed chair. Let it dry for 24 to 48 hours, and you should have a nice firm chair. I have several examples, pictures, but I also have some of the actual chairs here. So we'll see how this goes. A lot of the patterns are just derivatives of the 7-step method. This is a perfectly good example. In the single or double daisy chain pattern, the diagonals are woven in a curvature way, around in a particular way. And in the single daisy chain, you don't put every single diagonal in, you skip every other set of diagonals. So you have a space between them. And in the double diagonal or double daisy chain, you use all of the diagonals, every pair, and do the curvature, the weaving, and you come up with a double, massive set of daisies. Can I get by here? I'll come back to that chair in just a second. Yeah. This chair, this rocker, was done with single daisy chain in the seat as well as in the back. And I was fortunate enough to get best of show at the Tennessee Craft local exhibition 2017 with that chair.
You pick up the chairs
Wherever.
sometimes they're coming to you.
Yeah.
How do you sell it? Where do you sell it? What's your
That's the problem. The younger population has very little interest in this. In all the years I've been doing this, I've sold one chair to a younger couple. Back in the days when they had the fine art show in Kingsport, the carousel, I sold one chair to a younger couple. That's why I've gone to schools, and I'll talk about the schools later. They're beautiful, but they just don't sell. They're hard to sell.
Assume you have a lot of orders.
A lot of what? Oh, yeah.
So you got to price that accordingly.
You never, as a crafter, you know well, good and well, you never make what you put into it back. It doesn't happen. I sold, yeah, this one would probably be 150 to 200. That one probably will not be sold. Yeah, that's the ballpark. You price it out by the number of holes in the chair. So a chair like this probably has 80 holes in it. And at $2 or $2.50 a hole, I've gone up to $2.50 a hole recently. That's going to be about $200. But you can't sell it. You can't sell it at that price and get back out of it what you need. I'll talk about this chair again in a moment, but if you look at the pattern, you've got daisies and you've got little square circles, and those are buttons. So this pattern is called daisies and buttons. Well, here it is again. Here's one also. Daisies and buttons. You've got 4 holes together are the buttons, and then you've got the daisies. And this is, again, a derivative of the 7-step method, because all we're doing is, this is the normal 7-step method here with the straight pieces of cane, and then the ones that are woven in, curving, those make the daisies, and it's still the same pattern, just a slightly different way of weaving. Still the same number of steps. Here's some other ideas that I've done, just trying to do something different when I was weaving. Like I said, I got bored real quick with the 7-step method. I put a bar down the middle of the 7-step method. I put 9 daisies in a square in the center, and I put 4 daisies in a cross in the center, just to do something different. This is a child's rocker that shows 9 daisies square in the seat and in the standard 7-step method in the back of the chair. Each of these 7-step related methods take about 24 hours. The single daisy chain I showed you earlier, I can probably do in about 18 hours. And then I really went wild. And this is daisies and buttons again. I saw a feed on a Facebook page from a caner in Austria who said he was trying to put together a piece for a show and was using cord. To make it different, he put in 2 strips of black cord and 2 strips of black cord in the columns and rows, and that made a distinctly different pattern. So I decided to do the same sort of thing. I put black cane in here and in the horizontal and the vertical along the lines of the daisies, and that made it look different. Oh, and the other one here, I'm putting together an application for Southern Highlands Craft Guild that requires all your work that you're submitting to be done in the past 2 years. I had 5 pieces, and 4 of the pieces, 3 stools and 2 chairs. Stools were no problem, they're done in the past year. One of the chairs, that one, was done in the past, like in June of last year. But I have a rocking chair, that one, that had been done 4 years ago, so I couldn't enter it. So I sat down 2 weeks ago and tried to figure out something that would be different. And I started out with one idea, and I ended up with something entirely different, but I like it. This is the 7-step method in the natural cane, and I took black cane and ran across diagonals, additional diagonals, and it came out looking like a chain pattern. So that is what will happen here. Oh, down there. And so that is, those 2 are part of my entries to the Craft Guild. we traveled out west in our trailer in 2016, stopped at Andrew Jackson's Hermitage. And they were telling us, they had a whole bunch of cane chairs sitting in the entry hallway. And they were telling us that Andrew Jackson ordered 23 or 24 of these cane chairs from England in 1836. They arrived in 1836. And they're like about 190 years old. There was a fire at the Hermitage and 3 of the chairs survived. I wrote the Andrew Jackson Foundation yesterday morning or the evening before, and I said, here's what I'm doing. Would you have a picture of that chair, of a real chair? And so the lady sent me back the 2 chairs left in the center picture. Same chair, 190 years old almost, and still looks pretty good. And if, pardon me? No, they aren't going to let you do that. No. No. The guy who was holding it, see his gloves? He was holding the chair up with gloves this morning when this morning she took some more pictures for me to show the bottom. As a caner, you like to look at the bottom of the chair to see how it's done, how neat it is, and this one is very nice. But the problem here is that she's looking into for me is these came from England in 1836. They've got binder cane around the outside. I've always heard the British don't do that. So the question I've asked her is, have these been recaned by somebody at some point along the way? And she's supposed to get back to me later and answer that question. So I found this very interesting. And under here, their knots are not anywhere near like the knots I use. Here, entirely different. In fact, you don't see knots like I have here. He's either done, there's a method, a no knots method, where you can run the cane back up in the neighboring hole and it will hold itself. He's done that, the caner has done that, or some of these holes, you can see where he slipped the cane up under the neighboring piece of cane to hold it, and that's all it needs. You don't need a whole lot. But that was a neat set of pictures she sent me. This is moving off away from the 7-step method patterns, and this is called the Star of David or the snowflake pattern. It's great for the back of a chair. It's too weak for the seat of a chair. This pattern is called Double Victoria. It was a pattern I believe I've read it was derived about the time of King Charles II. In this pattern, it's called Double Victoria because you've got 2 canes in the horizontal and 2 canes in the vertical. If you only have 1 cane in the horizontal and 1 cane in the vertical, then it becomes single Victoria. Only difference. Okay. Here's 2 slides that talk about that rocker on the right. The pattern in the seat is called diamond and cross, and you can see crosses inside of each of the diamonds. And it's part of that rocker on the right. Then in the back of that chair is a pattern called lace. And there's not much to say about it. It's the first time and only time I've done it in this rocker. I'm a self-taught caner. I started out with 1 pamphlet back in 1993 and did a so-so job first time out. And as I've collected more and more books and looked at the internet for more and more patterns, I find these pictures, but a lot of them are just pictures, so you have to sit there and figure out what they've done from the picture. And that's what I've had to do with something like this. I've never seen instructions for this, so I did that by looking at the pattern, looking at the picture, and just figuring out up and down what they did. These two chairs are honeycomb, have a honeycomb pattern, and that's what's in the rocker here, the folding rocker here. This pattern is called honeycomb. If you take out three of the strands in the honeycomb, it becomes the octagonal pattern. So there's two different patterns in that one. Yeah, it should be. There's I've forgotten how many strands are in it, but I think there's at least 7. It should be. Okay, this pattern in the chair is called sunburst, and when I bought the chair, I said I know exactly what I want to put in it, because those rays in the back feed from the bottom of the seat, the rays in the seat going straight up, and I wove it. I said, well, that's great. Then I looked at it and said, no, I don't like it. So I cut, I didn't like that, so I cut it out and redid it and reversed it. And now you've got the rays going both ways. And I like that a whole lot better. This chair was a challenge to me because I'd never done a blind or French caned chair. All of these chairs have holes all the way through the rails, all the way through the seat. So you weave and you come out the bottom, you go up the next hole and keep going. This chair has no holes all the way through. So this is 6mm cane. You put the cane into the hole and it sits there. And you put a peg in it, you go over and put it in the next hole, you weave, you have pegs all the way around it, holding it to the very end. And at the end, you end up putting glue in each of the holes to hold it. At the same time, you're weaving in the binder around the outside, and that also holds everything in place. So it's glued into a hole that doesn't go all the way through. This armchair was done with pressed-in cane, and pressed-in cane, you're using that machine-made cane over here, the big sheets, and you're using a spline, a piece of wood that goes into a groove, and it's glued in around the outside of the frame. That one, I'm still amazed at how pretty that came out. These two rockers I love. I've asked once to the owner if I can buy one. She's turned me down already. But anyway, these two rockers are done also with pressed-in cane, mid-century modern. You sit in those rockers and they're so comfortable. They're just beautiful.
Do you know what the wood is?
That was done 6, 7, 8 years ago. No idea. Okay, I'm going to change direction here and go talk about the stools. I got into stools and I had to find some sort of patterns. And so what I ended up doing was patterns that are either from overshot weaving or twill weaving. I'm also a weaver, so is Deborah, so is our daughter Rachel. Or they're from mathematics. So, for example, got a double diamond pattern up here. This pattern is made up out of a Gaussian or normal distribution curve from statistics. Herringbone. This is undulating twill. This one is from an overshot pattern called estrellata, or the star. And I just took the star portion out of that pattern and set it up, and I use Excel to create these patterns before I start weaving. This one is a pattern called the turntable. I still don't know how they came up with that name, but anyway. And this is just one part taken out of that pattern. And down here is an advancing twill from the weaving. And that's these 6 stools up here. And in the back of them, it turns out they're all done the same way. It turns out the back of them are done with a herringbone type pattern. I weave the top and the bottom. And the pieces of cane here are connected by knots, square knots in the cane, which is more traditional in a heritage sense. Oh, I do turn the finial on the top of this stylized tree. I turn from a big chunk of walnut to top out the tree. That's the other example of turning I was going to show you today. Pardon me? I am a wood turner also. Very, very minor part of my life, but yes. I'm also doing stained glass and weaving and chair caning and all of these other things. I have to fish them in one after the other. Besides using cane to weave, I also weave with belts. And when I wove this, I tried to put the buckles in a herringbone shape, in and out and back. But I also thought this would be very uncomfortable, but when you sit in it, it's amazingly comfortable. You don't feel the buckles at all. And I've been collecting neckties. I probably got 200 or more. And we used to weave a sheet in ties at some point. I also use corded alpaca or corded wool to weave a sheet in a bench or in a stool. Last 2 slides are how you take care of these things. If you notice, when this one back here may not be now, but it's already gotten hard, it's already gotten dry, and it's not nearly as flexible as it was a few minutes ago. Protect your cane. Don't put your chair in your cane chair in front of a window where it can get sunlight all day long or part of the day. Try rubbing lemon oil underneath the chair to keep the cane fresh. If you're lucky and no grandchildren or child decides to stand on it for a stool, and you don't get a hole in it like that Andrew Jackson chair had a hole in it, if you remember, it should last you a long time to take care of it. A lot of the chairs, this one may be one, a lot of the chairs will start to stretch a little bit. And the way you take care of that is turn this upside down in your bathtub, for example, and just soak this real good with water. Dry off the wood. After you soak it real good with water, turn it back up, leave it sitting for 24 to 48 hours. When it dries, it will tighten right up, like you've seen this one over here is already tightened back up. And it'll tighten back up to a point of being like new. Questions? Yeah? Yeah. Anything? You can weave with anything. Yeah, I'm sure it was. You can weave virtually anything. I've got some cardboard and paper stuffed in this one to give it some strength. I also do shaker tape and rush, paper rush, and a few belts. I guess that's about it. I think I've done some polypropylene cord on a stool sitting beside my loom with multicolors. But that's all what I have to say. Are there any questions? Yeah. You can go back into Egyptian times, hundreds of years ago, and you can find woven materials out of different things like papyrus. In the 1700s, 1600s, we started, the Chinese were weaving with cane, doing their thing already. Once China got opened up in the late 1700s or early 1800s, all that technology moved to the west and came into England and France. Andrew Jackson's chairs came out of England, as I remember, in the early 1800s. So this has been going on for a long time in various forms. And initially, the caner got this very rough strip of cane and had to cut it down to his size that he wanted to use, or just use the rough stuff. And finally, in the mid 1800s, they made tools to cut the cane into specific sizes, and that's how you come up with a 2 millimeter up to 5 or 6 millimeter cane. When did it fade out? It faded out for a while when Chippendale chairs came along, and they just didn't lend themselves to caning. And then once got past the Chippendale period, it came back again because people needed to have some of the old chairs redone. And it probably is going down, except for the few people who are maintaining it now. I'm the president of the Sheet Weavers Guild. It's an international organization of chair caners and sheet weavers. And we keep it alive as best we can through our organization. Thank you. 20 minutes.
That's impressive, Doug.
Thank you.
My goodness. So how many splinters do you typically have off of one chair?
I don't have splinters as much as you pull it and that edge is sharp.
Paper cut.
I've cut myself more than I have splinters.
Gosh. Well, we thank you so much. And those stools are fascinating to me. I mean, it's like psychedelic. Ooh. All right, so let's see. Oh, 2 things. Dave is collecting dues for next year, so don't forget. It's still $25, nothing's changed, and that gets you the whole year of all these wonderful demonstrations. So, excellent value. Also, Jerry Lovegrove has brought some walnut blanks back here, and he would like to give them to the club. So, anybody wants one? Let's start bidding, shall we? We need money in our club, okay? I know, see? We're having a Christmas party next month, y'all. So, they're walnut, and this is what they are. There are 10 of them. Do I hear $5 each? Do I hear an opening bid? Listen, I'm not greedy. This is just an opportunity. All right, come on. It's good looking wood, y'all. Very little sanding to do. And you can keep those grandkids in line multi-use. All right, be that way. Whoever wants one, take one, okay? Next month is our Christmas party. We need you to bring an hors d'oeuvre, finger food, or a dessert. We have everything else covered. We just want you to come and enjoy the group in a different way. So we are adjourned until next month, but remember, I need whatever ornaments may or may not still be out to me by the 15th. So that's it.